Hey guys, I felt like recording another video, so I will just do that. And I was talking to a few people, asking them about the things they struggle with, or things they could learn more about, or they feel like it would be nice to watch a video about. And one of the topics was a guy who told me that he would like to be the best possible partner for his girlfriend, and he wants to show up as his best self. And sometimes it can feel very, very difficult to do that. And I felt like I wanted to talk about this topic because I think it's very, very important that you have to realize that sometimes your own system is so stressed out that it's very, very difficult for you to act as your best self, right? And being able to forgive yourself for doing that is a crucial part, and also being able to forgive your partner for behaving the same way, right? So this relationships are such an interesting concept or thing or entity, even because it's really like a mirror. A relationship is really, really like a mirror. The way you treat yourself is the way you treat the other. And if we go more meta, like on a spiritual, from a spiritual perspective, the way you treat yourself is how you treat everyone, because ultimately all is one, right? So in a relationship, if you have the intention to bring your best self to the table, to want to be the best version you can be for your partner, then this is the only thing you really need. You know, you have to be very careful though, because you want this intention to be true and genuine and honest. Because if it isn't, then it will create room for all types of manipulations and strange behaviors, and you don't want to go there. So you want to guard your intention to bring your best self to the table. And if that is, if you set that intention in stone, if you remind yourself every single day that I want to be the best possible partner I can be today, how can I do that? Ask yourself this question in the morning. How can I be the best possible partner today? And act accordingly. And you can say, I am, because your intention is the one of being the best partner you can be, right? So allowing yourself to sometimes not be your best self, not be your best partner, this is a crucial point, in a crucial part in being the best partner, because you are not perfect, nobody is perfect, your partner is not perfect. So being forgiving of that, showing up as your best self, considering the circumstances, this is what really matters, right? And it's in the end, it's all about showing up for yourself too. Like, are you being your best self for yourself? Are you being your best self to yourself? Do you treat yourself with kindness and respect? Because if you don't do that, then you will sometimes do the same onto others, because ultimately you are them and they are you. So understanding that it's important to set this clear intention and being really honest about it and really committed. Commit yourself to be the best partner you can be. Truly commit to it. And what does it mean to truly commit to that? Well, it means that even if you fall off the track, which is going to happen, which is perfectly normal, which is perfectly okay that it happens, because we are all human, we're not perfect. But if you do, that you don't slide off the slide forever and ever and you go down the drain, right? You pick yourself up again, and you know that, okay, I commit myself to being my best self, to bringing my best self to the table, to be the best partner I can be. And when you when you when you lose track of it a little bit, okay, then first either catch yourself slipping off the track, or allowing your partner to notice it and to share it with you. And this is a very, very hard thing to do sometimes, because you know you were not your best self. And if a partner points it out, it can be very difficult to set your ego aside and accept that you failed. It's not necessarily a failure, it's just that you were in a different situation and the circumstances were such that you were maybe overwhelmed by fear, which caused you to not act in alignment with your highest self or the best version of yourself. And then you can feel guilty about that towards yourself because you know you weren't the best version of yourself. And if your partner then points it out, it can be very, very difficult to not react from an egocentric point of view, to not lash out, to not be proud about it, and reject their feedback, right? Of course, it's important to know that they should do it in a respectful manner, and they don't judge or blame you, or ridicule you, or mock you in any kind. Like, you have to establish a mutual relationship of based on trust and respect, and trust, capitalizing on the other person's best interests. You want to act respectfully, and you want to know that sometimes love has to be tough love, and pointing out when your partner wasn't acting in alignment with their best self. That is good thing to do, considering that you do it in a respectful manner, and you're not like, you're such a piece of shit for doing this. No, you can say, hey, I noticed that right now you probably don't feel too good. I can feel that you're maybe tense, and the things you did there and there and there, it made me feel like you were overwhelmed by the situation, and I feel like you maybe were not acting in alignment with your best version of yourself. I noticed that, and I want to share with you that I see that, and that I empathize with what happened. However, I don't think this is something that was in alignment with your best self, and you might want to pay extra attention to that, and maybe even course correct a little bit, right? And allowing your partner to say these things can be very difficult, because you're maybe a little bit ashamed, or you feel guilty about failing, you know. And it's important to accept that they it's important to trust them to have your best interests in mind, and to accept that yes, you're not perfect, and it comes down to being able to take feedback and to receive the comments of other people, especially loved ones, because they are trying to help. And this trying to help idea can sometimes be harmful, because I'm just trying to help, but sometimes it can be a cover up or a smokescreen for abuse. You have to be wary of that. However, you don't want to be paranoid of it, but you will establish a sense of awareness, where you can know that this person is actually really trying to help me, and they have my best interest in mind, and so I can trust them to point out flaws or things that they noticed that were not in alignment with my highest self, with my best version, right? And accepting that is a crucial part of building trust too, because when your partner knows that they can give you honest feedback, and you take it to heart, and you can course correct after they picked up on things you were failing at, not necessarily failing, I don't like to use this word, things that were not your full potential, then you can focus on these things and you can improve, and this builds trust, because they can see, I can share with you that I noticed something, and you take it to heart, you take it seriously, you treat it with respect, and you pay attention to it next time. That is a massive trust builder, and it works the other way around too, right? So bringing your best self to the table is allowing your partner to notice when you're not, and being able to forgive yourself for not being able to bring your best self to the table all the time. If the intention is there, that's what's most important. That's really what's most important, your intention. And being able to forgive yourself for not bringing your best self to the table all the time is also really, really important. So as long as the intention is there, and you're willing to accept whenever you didn't succeed in bringing your best self to the table, these are really the two main factors of bringing your best self to the table, right? Because you can't expect yourself to be perfect. You can't expect your partner to be perfect. You can't expect each other to be perfect. So there's always going to be times where either one of you, or even both, when it's both, that's usually the hardest part, because there is no room to to actually be productive and constructive about it. So then it's actually better to go apart and to maybe talk with friends or loved ones about the situation. But usually it's one person who is struggling and the other person who has the energy to deal with it, to give feedback, to help, to support. And then sometimes it's the other way around. Yeah, the other person is struggling and suffering. And that's ultimately what relationship is about, right? To support each other in times of need, to learn, to grow, to give feedback, to receive feedback. This is one of the most satisfying things about relationships, that they can really hold up a mirror to you and make you face things that you usually wouldn't, because you're, I don't know, too scared, too afraid, too proud, too stuck up in your own ego, right? And the other person has actually the potential and the power, when you allow yourself to be vulnerable to their to their feedback, to really transform you, to really make you a more compassionate, understanding, loving human being, right? So wanting to bring your best self to the table is a beautiful intention. I think it's one of the most beautiful intentions you can set for a relationship, because it removes the taken for granted part. It removes the pettiness. Not completely, because you will have petty situations and you will doubt whether this is all worth it, and how can two perfectly sane people, otherwise perfectly sane people, be in a fight or an argument about this petty, stupid stuff. But sometimes the situations are asking for a different approach, and sometimes you need to go through the pettiness to then realize other things, right? So everything happens for a reason, and everything happens because you need to learn something from. If you can cultivate this mindset, that all the difficult situations in your life, or all the difficult relationships, or all the difficult conversations you're having, or the fights, or whatever, they are there to teach you something, that you can learn something from it, that will make everything so much more valuable and more easy to navigate, even though it can sometimes be very, very difficult to go through a painful argument with a partner, and you both are in your lowest selves, and things get nasty and gnarly. It's okay, it happens sometimes, unless you completely abandon each other and you set aside your intention to bring your best self to the table. That's a problem, because then real hurt can be inflicted on one another, and that is not what you want. So keep reminding yourself of your intention to bring your best self to the table, and if you do that on a daily basis, and if you admit when you fell off the boat, you can admit that, hey, I was thinking, this is a very, very important thing to do in a relationship, is to reflect on your own behavior. Reflect on your own behavior. Realize that sometimes you make mistakes, and then admitting those mistakes and being honest and vulnerable about those, and not being proud and in your ego and be like, I did that, but I will not apologize for it because I wasn't right. No, share it with your partner that, hey, I've been thinking about my behavior lately, and I make a commitment to bringing my best self to the table, and I know that wasn't the case in this situation, so I want to apologize for that, and I want you to know that I am really aiming to improve myself in these situations, and please forgive me if it happens again, because of course sometimes some of these patterns, they are very strongly embedded in my personality. They are automatic reactions, etc., etc., and I want to allow myself to change these, and I want to open myself up to your feedback, and I would like, and this is very difficult, to allow them to point out to you that, hey, you're in this specific behavior right now, please pay attention to that, right? You, for myself personally, I have a very difficult time sometimes to allow my partners to do that, especially if the way they do it, I interpret it as patronizing or demeaning or humiliating. Then I shut down, and it's not good, right? So I have to communicate to my partner that, please, I am willing to open myself up to your feedback. Please just be careful with how you share it. Be respectful, be calm, be understanding. And then of course I'm willing to correct my behaviors. Of course I want to bring my best self to the table, right? So But it's also important that you communicate that what is important for you in order to be able to do that, in order to feel respected, to feel cared for, to feel acknowledged in your journey. And of course, it's not all your responsibility, but in the end, the things you have control over is yourself. So focusing on improving yourself, bringing your best self to the table, and supporting your partner to do the same as much as you can, that's all the control you have, right? And sometimes it can be so difficult to accept that, and to you want them to change, and you are tired of you always having to change. But ultimately you do it for yourself, right? Ultimately you want to bring your best self to the table. This is your intention, your clear goal, and this is what you have control over. So stay true to that. Remind yourself every day, and allow your partner to give you feedback, and know that establish you want to establish a basis of trust, and know that they have your best interests in mind. And then when this trust is there, then you can allow your partner to give you feedback, because you trust them, you know that they are saying it with your best interest in mind. And of course they don't necessarily have to decide what is in your best interest, because this can very quickly turn into a form of abuse. Oh, hey, I know what's best for you, so you gotta listen to me. It's not about that. You have to be careful, right? It's more about, okay, I can see that this is a behavior you are engaging in, and I can see that this is causing you or other people a lot of suffering. So maybe, because I can see it from a distance, I can see the impact it has on yourself or on the other people around you. Maybe you can try to slightly alter this behavior. In this situation, you can try this instead of this, because I see that it's impacting the people around you negatively, and maybe you're not even aware. So allow them to make you aware of certain flaws you have that you don't really pay attention to, or that you're completely unaware of. Allow them to observe those and share them with you, because these will then change the way you interact with other people drastically. They can have a drastic positive impact on your life in general, right? Because our relationships, I think, are our most valuable resources. They can provide us with love, support, care. They can also provide us with a lot of negative emotions, obviously. But in the end, we're social organisms which depend on the social interactions we're having. We're not meant to be alone all the time, disconnected from everyone else, because ultimately everything is one. So we are connected, so of course we need to experience this connectedness. So taking care of your relationships is really, really important, and setting the intention to bring your best self to the table is, I believe, one of the most courageous commitments you can make, because committing yourself to bringing your best self to the table implies overcoming fears. It implies setting aside your ego. It implies sharing love and compassion and kindness and understanding. This is, for me, what it really implies. So it's really being courageous, showing up, being brave. That is what this commitment implies and what it means. So if you want to be a big, strong, courageous person, and you commit yourself to showing up and bringing your best self to the table, that is one of the most noble things you can do, I think. So I highly recommend you set that intention for yourself, and set it with truth, with authenticity, with a genuine heart from the soul, from really caring about the goodness of showing up as your best self every single day. And sometimes there is times where you show up as your best self in those circumstances where you are not your in that moment you are your best self, even though it can be less, or it can be a little bit nasty or ugly or whatever. You still commit yourself to showing up the best you can, considering the circumstances. And it's okay to sometimes be a little bit less. It's totally, absolutely okay. And if you can establish a foundation of trust in your relationship with your partner, and you can feel safe to make mistakes sometimes and learn and grow from those mistakes, then I think you have a recipe for success. And this is one of the most beautiful things to experience in human life, I believe. So again, thanks for watching. I very much enjoyed talking about this topic. Thank you for being brave, for working on yourself. Feel free to look around on my channel. Feel free to drop a like or a comment or share it with somebody you think might benefit from these ideas. It's really helpful to share it with people you know, and I hope they will learn something from this. I had so much value being thrown at me on YouTube that I finally now want to throw some value back to you guys. So yes, see you later and talk soon. Bye.